So, uh, have you ever finished this like perfectly good meal, wiped your mouth, pushed your chair back, and suddenly felt like your stomach just literally doubled in size?
Oh, yeah. The worst feeling.
Right. You go from enjoying this amazing food to just an immediate sinking feeling of regret. It's that heavy, tight, incredibly frustrating sensation of bloating.
Which completely transforms your relationship with food, honestly. Eating becomes this biological landmine rather than a source of nourishment.
Totally.
And, I mean, it takes up a massive amount of cognitive space when you're constantly just bracing for discomfort.
That is exactly what we are getting into in this deep dive. Today, we're looking at a personal essay and health article titled, Why I Couldn't Stop Bloating Until I Found Moringa Magic.
It's a great piece, really insightful.
Yeah, it really is. And while we're going to explore this author's daily struggle with chronic digestive discomfort, our real mission today is to unpack a massive aha moment regarding how we treat our bodies.
Right, because it really changes the whole approach.
Exactly. We're looking at this paradigm shift away from punishing our systems with dietary subtraction, like it's just aggressively cutting everything out and moving toward healing them through nutritional addition.
Which, is a fundamental reversal of how modern wellness culture operates.
Oh, 100%.
We're so conditioned to look for the bad thing we did, right? Like the toxic ingredient we accidentally ingested, rather than looking for the foundational elements we might simply be missing.
Okay, let's unpack this, because the author of this piece doesn't just casually mention having a stomachache after, like, a heavy Thanksgiving dinner.
No, it was way more than that.
Yeah, they paint a super vivid picture of relentless daily misery.
Yeah.
This is a baseline expectation for them. Like, breakfast left them uncomfortable.
Right.
Lunch rolled around and made them instantly sluggish. By the time dinner was over, they were literally unbuttoning their jeans just to get a tiny bit of physical relief.
This is a crucial distinction to make here, though. We aren't talking about sharp, acute pain that sends you rushing to the emergency room.
Right. It's not a medical emergency in that sense.
Exactly. We are talking about chronic, low-grade discomfort. And in some ways, that chronic nature is what drains the joy out of everyday life.
Yeah, it just grinds you down.
It does. The medical community sometimes overlooks this because the labs come back normal. But living with a digestive system that feels broken, it fundamentally alters how you interact with the world.
You read about their daily routine, and it honestly sounds like carrying around a heavy, invisible backpack all day long.
That's a really good way to put it.
Because nobody else in the office or at the restaurant can see the backpack. They have no idea you're wearing it. But it dictates how you sit at your desk, how you move, how you engage with people.
Yeah, it limits everything you do.
The author talks about feeling full after eating really small meals. And they actually started avoiding social dinners entirely.
Wow.
Right? Imagine just opting out of a core human bonding experience like sharing a meal because you are terrified of how your stomach will look and feel 2 hours later.
It's isolating. Truly.
Yeah. And they were exhausted despite getting a full night's sleep, and their confidence was just shot because their stomach always felt swollen.
Well, when you're carrying that invisible backpack, human nature takes over. You immediately want to figure out what is weighing you down so you can throw it out.
Right. Find the bad thing.
Exactly. If something hurts, our evolutionary instinct is to, identify the threat and eliminate it.
And that instinct leads directly into the subtraction trap.
Yes, the classic trap.
The authors started playing the blame game with their plate, which I think literally anyone listening who has dealt with stomach issues has done at some point.
Oh, absolutely. Everyone does it.
First, they assumed it was just normal stress. Then, when the bloating didn't stop, dairy was the obvious villain.
Always the first to go.
Always. Then gluten became the enemy. Then coffee. Then spicy foods. They write that they blamed just about everything else on their plate.
The problem there is you're trying to isolate a variable in a system that has millions of variables.
Yeah, it's basically a frustrating game of dietary whack-a-mole. You smash the dairy mole, and you feel okay for maybe 2 days, but then the gluten mole pops up.
Right. So you cut that out, too.
Then you turn to the internet, which is just a wild west of conflicting advice. Like, the author tried elimination diets, herbal teas, apple cider vinegar shots.
What about the vinegar?
They are brutal. They tried probiotics, digestive enzymes. They tried drinking a gallon of water. They tried eating a ton of fiber. Then, when that didn't work, They read an article telling them fiber was the devil, so they tried eating less fiber.
Which is just so exhausting. But the core problem with the whack-a-mole approach is that it assumes the food is inherently toxic to your specific body.
Right.
It completely ignores the underlying mechanical process of digestion. I mean, you can eliminate dairy, gluten, and fiber, but if the underlying engine is still broken, you will eventually become intolerant to the replacement foods, too.
But why does that hyperfixation on eliminating foods fail so consistently? Like, I see people do these extreme elimination diets, and maybe they get a week of relief, but the bloating always comes roaring back.
To understand why it fails, we really have to look at the pitfall of the modern diet.
Okay.
The author realized that maybe their body wasn't rejecting specific foods. Maybe it was simply lacking the fundamental tools required to process any food efficiently.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, we live in a bizarre nutritional paradox right now. Thanks to busy schedules and highly processed, shelf-stable foods, we get plenty of calories.
Right. We're definitely not starving for calories.
Exactly. We're overfed on macronutrients, the carbohydrates, the fats, the proteins. But we are entirely starved of micronutrients.
Okay, let me make sure I'm following this. Are we basically talking about the difference between putting gas in a car versus maintaining the engine?
Yes.
Like, macronutrients are the gas. They make the car actually go.
Yeah.
But micronutrients are the oil, the spark plugs, the transmission fluid.
That is a highly accurate way to look at it. Macronutrients provide the raw energy. But breaking down a meal is a wildly complex biochemical event.
It's not just acid in a bucket.
Right. Your stomach acid doesn't just dissolve food on its own. Your body relies on enzymes to break down proteins, fats, and carbs. But enzymes are basically useless without cofactors.
Okay, and what are those?
Those cofactors are vitamins and minerals. For instance, zinc is required for the production of digestive enzymes. Magnesium is necessary for the muscles in your digestive tract to actually contract and move food along a process called peristalsis.
So if I'm, like, stressed out and eating a diet of mostly processed foods, I might be giving my body plenty of fuel.
Lots of gas in the tank.
Lots of gas.
Right.
But I'm not giving it the zinc or magnesium it needs to actually build the enzymes or move the food through the tract.
Exactly. And when food doesn't move efficiently or isn't broken down properly by those enzymes, it just sits in your gut. And what happens to organic matter that just sits in a warm, dark environment?
It ferments.
It ferments. The bacteria in your gut start feasting on that undigested food, and as a byproduct, they release massive amounts of gas.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that gas gets trapped, your intestines literally expand, and suddenly you have that painful, tight, unbutton your jeans bloating.
That makes so much sense.
Right. You can eliminate all the gluten you want, but if you don't have the micronutrients to facilitate digestion, the rice and chicken you replace the gluten with will just ferment too.
That completely flips the script. And this is really the core aha moment of the author's journey. They stop asking, what food should I stop eating? And they start asking, what nutrients might I be missing?
Which is huge.
It's such an empowering mindset shift. Instead of treating your body like this hostile, broken machine that you have to manage through constant deprivation, you start treating it like a partner that you need to actively nourish.
What's fascinating here is that starvation of micronutrients causes systemic bodily systems to stall across the board.
Meaning it's not just the stomach.
Exactly. Digestion is not an isolated event happening in a vacuum. It is deeply connected to healthy metabolism, energy production, cellular maintenance, and immune function.
It's all connected.
Everything. For example, the lining of your gut replaces itself every few days. If you lack the vitamins, amino acids, and phytonutrients...
Wait, what are phytonutrients again?
They're the chemical compounds plants produce to protect themselves, but in humans, they act as vital cellular communicators.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Yeah. So if you lack those, your body simply cannot repair that gut lining.
So if the gut lining is compromised because I'm not eating enough nutrient-dense plants, my immune system starts firing off, inflammation goes up, and digestion slows down even more.
And you end up exhausted, bloated, and miserable. The digestion process requires a broad, robust spectrum of nutritional support.
So this search for those missing foundational nutrients is what led the author away from the standard, drugstore supplement aisle and toward a historical plant.
Yeah.
They discovered moringa, which is often called the miracle tree. And this plant has apparently been valued globally for centuries because its leaves naturally contain this incredibly dense profile of vitamins, minerals, antioxidants, and amino acids.
It's a nutritional powerhouse.
Right. And to fill these specific nutrient gaps, the author chose a supplement called Moringa Magic.
Right.
Now, The reasoning they gave for choosing this specific brand was that it didn't rely on flashy marketing or artificial promises. It was just focused on delivering plant-based nutrition to support daily energy, digestive wellness, and general balance.
The author was essentially looking for a botanical multivitamin to act as a nutritional bridge.
A bridge. I like that.
Yeah, and Moringa oleifera is unique because it grows in very harsh, arid environments.
Oh, really?
Yes. To survive, the plant has to pack its leaves with dense defense compounds. And when humans consume them, those translate directly into potent antioxidants and anti-inflammatory compounds.
Okay, I have to jump in here and play the skeptic for a second.
Go for it.
Because I hear terms like Miracle Tree and a brand name like Moringa Magic, and every alarm bell in my head just goes off.
Totally understandable.
Because the wellness industry is built on these overnight miracle cures, right?
Mm-hmm.
The whole drink this green powder and fix a decade of gut damage by tomorrow morning kind of marketing. Are we really supposed to believe that adding some powdered leaves to a glass of water magically fixed a broken digestive system? Because scientifically, that sounds like a massive red flag.
If the author had claimed it cured them by Tuesday, I would agree with you entirely.
Right.
But that is the exact opposite of what the source material states. The author explicitly details that there were 0 overnight results. It was not a magic eraser.
Okay, so what was the actual timeline then?
It required weeks of consistency. Remember what we just discussed about cellular maintenance?
Yeah, the gut lining replacing itself.
Exactly. The gut lining takes time to turn over. Enzymatic production takes time to upregulate. The author had to consistently supply their body with these missing micronutrients day after day before that systemic stall began to resolve.
So it wasn't sudden.
Not at all. They describe it as a gradual, almost imperceptible return to baseline over several weeks.
See, that makes a lot more sense biologically. It wasn't an instant fix. It was providing the raw materials for the body to slowly rebuild its own infrastructure.
Yes.
And it proves that the supplement was just one piece of a much larger puzzle, which brings us to the holistic reality of this entire approach. What were the actual results once that infrastructure was rebuilt? And more importantly, what was the ecosystem of habits required to get there?
Well, the results were profound because they were structural, not just symptom management.
Right, they weren't just slapping a Band-Aid on it.
Exactly. The author notes that their stomach stopped feeling heavy after meals. That constant nagging fullness faded. They felt physically lighter. And most importantly, meals became enjoyable again.
That is so huge.
They stopped policing every single bite and stopped thinking about their digestion every single hour of the day.
Basically, they got their social life back. They can actually go to a restaurant with friends and just be present in the conversation rather than secretly analyzing the menu for threats.
Exactly.
But they didn't just swallow some moringa and hope for the best, right?
Far from it. If we connect this to the bigger picture, the supplement acted as a nutritional bridge, but the holistic lifestyle changes were the structural foundation.
Okay, tell me more about that.
The author is very clear about the companion habits. The Moringa Magic was combined with drinking plenty of water, eating slowly, intentionally, including more whole fruits and vegetables, walking after meals, actively managing their stress, sleeping consistently, and limiting heavily processed foods.
I want to focus on a few of those, actually, because they sound basic, but the mechanics behind them are huge. Eating slowly, for example.
Yes, so important.
I think a lot of people just inhale their food while staring at a laptop.
Yeah.
But digestion literally starts in the mouth, right?
Hey.
If you don't chew your food, you aren't mixing it with the salivary enzymes that break down carbohydrate.
Exactly. You are sending large, unchewed chunks of food down to a stomach that is now forced to work twice as hard.
Which just causes more bloating.
Right. And walking after meals, that physically aids in gastric emptying and stimulates motility.
This highlights exactly who this approach is for. The author notes this is for people looking for natural additions to an already healthy lifestyle, who want a simple daily routine.
Yes.
It is definitely not for someone looking to outsource their health to a single pill. And we need to explicitly mention the medical caveat from the source material here.
Very important.
Always speak with a healthcare professional if you have ongoing severe digestive concerns or underlying conditions. No supplement can outwork a terrible diet or an undiagnosed medical issue. Hydration, physical activity, and a balanced diet are the true foundations.
It really requires a brutally honest audit of your daily routine. Like, are you chewing your food? Are you walking? Are you actually prioritizing sleep?
Because sleep is when the body heals, right?
Exactly. Sleep is when the parasympathetic nervous system engages to actually repair your gut.
So for you listening right now, this is where you really need to evaluate your own habits.
Yeah.
If you are dealing with that heavy, unbutton your jeans level of bloating, are you relying on a single silver bullet fix?
Or are you just swinging that whack-a-mole mallet at whatever food you think offended you today?
Right. Or are you looking at your entire daily ecosystem?
Which brings us back to the overarching theme of this entire journey.
Right. For years, the author equated healing with restriction. They truly believed that if they were in physical discomfort, it meant they had to remove things from their life.
A very common trap.
But the ultimate solution came from asking, what can I add? Adding nutrient-rich foods, focusing on foundational physical habits, and supplying the body with dense micronutrients is just an infinitely more sustainable and joyous way to approach overall health than constantly restricting everything you enjoy.
It completely replaces a mentality of deprivation with a mentality of abundance.
I love that.
But, when you look closely at the relationship between our daily habits, our stress levels, and our physical symptoms, this raises an important question.
Okay, where are we going with this?
Well, we've established how heavily the digestive system relies on a relaxed state and holistic nutrition to function properly, right?
Right.
We also know the authors spent years aggressively restricting their diet, policing every single bite, and feeling immense anxiety about their meals.
Yeah, the invisible backpack of stress.
Right. Well, biologically speaking, extreme psychological stress triggers the sympathetic nervous system, the fight-or-flight response.
Okay.
When your brain perceives a threat, it floods the body with cortisol and adrenaline. And one of the very first things the body does in a fight-or-flight state is suppress the vagus nerve, which effectively shuts down the digestive system.
Wait a minute. Because if you are running from a tiger, your body obviously doesn't care about digesting your lunch. It needs all that energy in your muscles.
Precisely. But your brain doesn't know the difference between a literal tiger and the extreme anxiety of eating a piece of bread you've convinced yourself is toxic.
Oh, wow.
So consider this. What if the very act of intensely restricting our diets and the severe chronic anxiety of policing every single bite we take is actually keeping our bodies locked in a low-grade fight or flight state?
Oh my God. If the digestion shuts down because you're stressed about the food ferments, creates gas, and causes bloating.
Could the diet-induced anxiety be causing the exact digestive paralysis we are trying so desperately to cure?
That is wild.
By constantly searching for the enemy on our plate, we might actually be the ones turning off the assembly line.
That is absolutely mind-blowing. The stress of the elimination diet is actually generating the symptoms you are trying to eliminate.
Exactly.
It means the heaviest thing in that invisible backpack wasn't the gluten or the dairy or the fiber. It was the crushing anxiety of the restriction itself.
It completely reframes the mind-gut connection. It's not just about what you eat, it's about the psychological state you are in when you eat it.
That is a massive, massive concept to chew on as we wrap up. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive.
It's been great.
Keep asking great questions about your own routines, look at your entire daily ecosystem, and remember to actually feed your body. Nourish it, support it, and give it the tools it needs to thrive. Don't just restrict it into submission. We'll catch you on the next deep dive.